to gain some quality or performance efforts. But yeah, you guys won't fit always in your way of working. So those tools will be less effective, less efficient. And that is what I want to change by putting you first, making sure everything we think of will be integrated in your way of working so you gain more effective, efficient processes. And you actually want to work with it. You see the added value in it, and we can continuously improve on it. But enough about Bijl, because that is not where you came here for today. You want to know more about UX UI reinforced by security. But I have to mention one thing first. As you have might expect or already know by now, this presentation is inspired by Pirates of the Caribbean. Unfortunately, I don't owe it. Disney does. So little disclaimer here. A lot of images, references, names are used from them, so know that up front. And now we can haste the sails, sail out, and go on the journey. Imagine yourself being in the time of the Pirates of the Caribbean. That is around 7030s, 7050s. And at that time, there were two main ways of transportation. You could go by courier or by ship. And I had the most magnificent ship there was on Earth. It was called the HMS Endeavour. Actually, this one. And it was not just any vessel. It was a masterpiece of modern engineering. Methodologists crafted and equipped with luxury artifacts and stunning architectures, spacious decks and comfortable cabins. And the design was, the process of the designs were great. They just seamlessly fit within our way of working. Yes, we had to work on the ship. It was hard work, but actually it was more easy because of the process and the great design. And it felt almost like a vacation. Until we had an incident with a cannonball. One goose-placed cannonball made our ship sink to the bottom of the ocean. Luckily enough, me and my crew all survived. And at that day, I made a promise to my crew to keep paying them. So this incident wouldn't affect them any more than it already has. But as you might know, my money is not unlimited. I had to go back in business soon as possible. But I wanted to do still the thing that I love the most, traveling around the world, gathering supplies and trading them. For that, I needed a new ship. Only this time, I don't want to jeopardize my crew members. So I searched over the world and see what is the safest ship on Earth. And it was the Flying Dutchman. It was loaded with triple cannons, so it could do a massive amount of damage. And it has the ability to dive into the ocean. And somehow, everyone was still able to breathe. Wow. I'm really curious about how that technology works, because this is a great way to flee away from the enemies, but also going for a surprise attack. And even that wasn't all enough, they could call on the Kraken, a Gagayan sea monster you see here, that every ship destroys every ship it encounters, except for the Flying Dutchman. How they control it, how they summon it, I don't know. But what I do know is you would lose a thing twice, maybe even thrice, before seeking any trouble with the Flying Dutchman. So really secure, really safe. From a security officer, I would agree, we need this ship. But I get already the chills over my whole body if I have to think that I have to set one step on this ship with all those algae and rotten wood. It wouldn't be feeling like a vacation anymore, but more like a nightmare. So I ask around to people to say, ask them, hey, is it possible to get the strength of the Flying Dutchman and the safety and the beauty and the great designs of the processors from the HMS Endeavour? And everyone told me, Mike, that isn't possible. If you want UX, UI, you have to sacrifice security and vice versa. It is actually, they are two different islands, or better said, they are like day and night, water and fire, or like Jack Sparrow and Davy Jones, that even the ocean wouldn't be far enough to separate them. And I refuse to believe that, because sacrificing on one of these components should never be an option, in my opinion, because they are too good as an individual. So I did some research and did some testing, and I found a way to actually have both and never have to sacrifice on it. But it all starts with knowing both viewpoints. And if you know both of them, they are more likely related to each other than you would think at first. We are here at the developers conference, so probably about UX UI, you know a lot about it, or at least the fundamentals, because you are performing those duties yourself, or at least you are working closely with them. With security, not so much. At least when I was a software engineer, I always like to call them the department who said no, because every time I asked them for an approval about a new epic that I wanted to integrate, or a new technology or a tool, then they always say to me, Mike, no, either no on that one, and definitely not. So that's why I called them the department who said no. But that was because we didn't understand each other. And I didn't understand it, why there was a difference, until I became one of myself. And it is actually the best analogy here I can make, is when I write down here a 6 on the floor. From my perspective, it would be a 6. For your guys, it would be a 9. Does it mean we are both wrong? No. Are we both right? Yes. But we look different at these things. And that's why I want to stand still briefly about what is security all about. Security is about ensuring businesses can operate smoothly and securely at all times. It's about maintaining the highest quality in our systems and making sure they work exactly as intended, no more and no less. And that's why I think security is also a bad term. You should better translate it to quality assurance. Everything we do, it has an added value to the quality assurance of our solutions. And we are looking at events that has a negative impact on those qualities of our solutions. And within security, we look at risks. This is a little formula we are using all the time to calculate it and prioritize them. Very simple, risk is likelihood times impact, and the likelihood and impact are on a scale of 1 to 5 most of the times. And with the likelihood, we are seeing at how much chance do we have that this vulnerability or event is going to happen. Think about SQL injections, for example, in our solution. Very common attack, very easy to achieve and to perform it. You will be definitely almost sure that it happens. So maybe out of 1 to 5, you would say a rate of 4. Then we look to the impact, depending on how sensitive the information is. Like passwords in the database would be way more up. Higher number, maybe about what is the weather outside, lower. But let's say for the discussion part, we will give it an impact level of 3. 4 times 3 is 12, so a risk level of 12. And if you do this for all your events, all your risk, you can prioritize them and see where have you, which one you should tackle the first. But when we are looking at our ship, at our journey, or our solution, it is a quite broad perspective. There is a great ocean, so a lot can happen. And we should channel it down as security professionals to help you guidance to see, hey, where are the risks coming from? And for that, we are using the CIA triad. C for confidentiality. How secretly is the information? I talked about it. The weather outside is not so secret. Everyone may know it. So probably you give it a level 1 out of 3. But when you're thinking about where are our army stationed, you would give it probably a level 3 because you don't want it to see everyone and only for your eyes only. Integrity. How sensitive is the information that we are handling and how sensitive is for alteration. For example, on webshop, giving it normal price €7.99. What is the impact if you sell it, for example, change it to €4? Not so big, so level 1. But when we are working on hard monitoring software, you can imagine when you change the monitoring results real time, it can be a life or death situation for the patients. So probably a level 3. And availability doesn't need much attention because that is straightforward. The longer It may be out of business, your solutions, the higher alpha, the less impactful is it, so the lower the number. For example, 1 hour outage can be quite heavy, then you would give it a level 3. If it can be a week out of running, probably a level 1. And with that, we have covered this part of the presentation. Just a little recap to make sure you know what we have all talked about. Incidents can happen all the time. It doesn't matter how great your solution is or what quality is it and how secure. You should prepare for it because it is always happening. And it can have a variety of impact. It can be small, can be significant. And for that, you should always create playbooks for incidents so you know exactly what to do with and make the impact less impactful. And we have talked a little bit about, is there a trade-off between security and UX or UI? Short answer, no. But we have to know both worlds to understand it, why it is a trade-off. And in the next slides, we are going more looking at it, the intersection between those. And security is looking at the risks, likelihood times impact, with the CIA triad to channel it down to get the more specific issues. With that, we can continue with the ship. I already told you, I want a new ship to be building for my travels. The first thing you should know is, what do you want to achieve with your solutions? What is the goal? What is the objective? For a ship, it would be pretty easy, sailing the oceans out. Or like a compass, it's pointing out where is north. But those aren't great goals in my opinion. There should be room to innovate about it, making sure, and they should also be making a little bit fake. So you can continuously improve about it and making it better. For example, with the compass, why don't we make a compass that directs you, the holder, what you desire the most? Yes, I probably agree with you. What is it that we desire the most in the world? How are we going to measure it? For now, it doesn't matter. It matters that we have all putting the R on the same line. We're looking at the same direction. Because in the next phases, we are going to recalibrate every single step we are doing to see if we are on the right path. But if we understand the goal, the objective, then we can check with every step. Does it have an added value towards our goal? Yes, implement it, spend time on it. If it doesn't, remove it. So that brings us down to the requirements part. You're already working a lot with them in your current solutions. Really great. They are looking at the positive sides about what should be in it, what should the solutions be doing. For a ship, it should sail out over waters, should sail out, for example, 25 knots. I want the cargo space for at least thousands of normal standard size barrels. Wants the sail point out from the fastest rate from moving to point A to B. Quite straightforward. They give him a positive side, and they can help you make the goals even more smart, at least as smart as possible for now, because as you know, we are going to continuously improve on it. But looking at the positive sides, we are great as humans, we are great at it, but there's one thing we are even better at it, and that is about thinking about the threats. How and can we destroy things? What are the roadblocks that are ahead of us? For example, when we sail out with our ships in the time of the pirates, we can encounter a piracy. Some pirates that are going to loot us or are shooting at us. We can have bad treacherous waters, fierce storms, malfunctioning. There's a lot of happening, and also in your solutions. And you should know them, because if you know it up front, you can create countermeasures that really fits in your designs and in your processes. And by knowing these three things, you have a full context. You know exactly what you should be building. And that's why I want to stand a little bit still on these 3 points, because this is the planning phase, the most important one. If you spend enough time here, it will go easier on the next part, and you can create better user interaction, user experience, and in the meanwhile also secure. So define clearly the goals of your solutions, clearly as in the same sentence of, you know which direction we are going to, and we are on the same wavelength. But there should be enough room to innovate about it, so it is not a fixed ending. You can make it still better every single day, every year again. Requirements and face the strength of your solutions. They show you the positive side of what should be doing with the solutions, and they make the goals smarter. And threats are the obstacles, like I said, and they are looking at the negative side of the solutions, what you are going to encounter, and do this also for the whole life cycle, not just for the implementation phase, but also the operation phase and the decomposition phase. And with these three categories, the goals, the threats, and the requirements, you get the full perspective about what should be in it, what needs to be built, and what needs to be taken into account, so you can create really great designs. And that brings us to the next phase, the design phase. And I actually don't have to tell you much about this, because you already know a lot about it. You are better here than I am, because this is also your duty of your job. The only thing I can ask or give you as advice is collaborate with security on it. They can help you to make the next step and help you think about the three categories we just talked about. And when you ask them for collaboration, don't just go there and ask them, is it the right color palette that we are using? Or the corporate branding, should we be using red or blue? Security isn't about the aesthetics. They have an opinion about it, but that is your duty. But they can help you to create really great architectures, create components using the best tools, helping you select them, and technology for your purposes, that it will be easier. And to give you an analogy here, I asked them to design a ship for me, the UX UI department. And they came on with a really great design on the left. Really aesthetical, really beautiful, and great processes, just like I had, the HMS Endeavour. The only thing was, it was made out of wood. Wood was like the first ship. One good place to cannonball, it would sink to the ocean, not secure. But it will make a requirement of sailing out 25 knots achieving. So I said, thank you. I really like design, but I go over to security to make it more secure, so also the threats are being taken care of. And security agreed on it, and it came on the image with the right, the ship. Less aesthetical, doesn't look really great. This better than a Flying Dutchman with all those alts and rotten wood. But it is made out of steel, so very heavy material, wouldn't fix the requirement of sailing 25 knots. But a cannonball wouldn't do any much damage. So really safe, secure. And here again, we are standing at the point that UX UI had to sacrifice about security. But that is just because we didn't collaborate with each other. We were looking at it at our own perspective, at our own times. So I asked them, go sit in a room together, debate about it, and challenge each other to make sure all the three categories are covered. And they came with the next design. Wow, really great ship, really aesthetical, really beautiful. And they did something really smart here. They made a two-layer architecture skeleton for this ship. The outer skeleton, you can see, is made out of wood. So this has the warm, comfortable feeling that you want, and with the aestheticals part about it. But the smart thing is they made an inner skeleton out of titanium. Titanium is the lightest material on Earth, but also the strongest is in kind. So a cannonball wouldn't do much damage towards my ship. Yes, the wood will still break, will be damaged, but we can easily remove the planks and fix it again. So at this point, we have great aesthetical view about the ship. Really great design, really great processes. And in the meantime, it will be safe. It will be safe, so really great UX UI. And that is where security can come into and help you challenging. But at the architecture level, it is easy to collaborate. But you should also do it at the lower levels of your solutions, like your processes, but also think about epics, features, even use stories. You can challenge each other and help each other. For example, with the processes, the designing. You do it a lot. You made the drawboards, you made a great textual description about how it is going to work, what's been expected. Really great. But you should know, with creating designs, we should make it KISS. Keep it simple and stupid. Because if we don't, it will automatically be more complex. And complexity is the arch eminence of security, but also for UX UI. The more complex you build, the harder it will be for you to see what is going to be needed, what is we going to expect, and how we should build it. And at the end, if it is hard for you, it will also be hard for the users, and you will probably make mistakes. But also iterate about it a few times, because you can never make the perfect process or epic or user story or feature at once. You may continuously improve on it and iterate it. You may challenge yourself to do it better. To give you an analogy. For example, we are going to test our process, cannon drill. And the Captain Barbosa, with his Queen Anne's fleet, is going to attack us within 5 minutes. That means we are having 5 minutes to be battle ready. The first process that we think of is our crew members have to run to the positions to the cannons and have to push those cannons 20 kilo each to the right positions. Then they have to carry out the cannonballs 3 kilo each to their cannons, and then they have to gather the gunpowder touches to be able to shoot at the Queen's Anne. And we have tested it. It cost them 30 minutes to be battle ready. That means that Captain Barbosa has 25 long minutes to be shooting. That means indefinitely loss. But luckily, it was a test phase. So we can also test out how will be the aiming part, how will they shoot. And we noticed they shoot at all. It was horrible because they were exhausted of the hard labor. They missed everything. By far, it was like they have never shot a cannonball before. So here, really a process that we have designed that is not user-friendly, but also not secure, because we will definitely lose. So we thought of, hey, what was here the problem? And how should we fix it? And that's why we came up with the next idea, next process, to put out a wheel over the whole ship so that the movement patterns are efficient. They don't have to think about it. And yes, they have to still push the cannons and the cannonballs and do the hard labor. But when it is rolling, it will be much easier. So they are less exhausted when they need to shoot it. And we have tested it. It cost them 10 minutes now. So really a magnificent improvement. We reduced 20 minutes. And they were more fit. We did some shoot practice. And it was actually acceptable, the range. It was not 100% accurate, but acceptable. We did a much better job at the UX UI and the security here. Because the only 5 minutes of shooting, free shooting, isn't a definite loss. We are just standing 1-0 behind, but we can still win it. But that's the point where I asked the people, can we do something, can we do better here? Is there something we can improve? And most of them say no. And I say, really? Because pushing a cannon to location A to a fixed location B, that doesn't require human intelligence. It is just muscle power. And everything that doesn't require human intelligence should be automated. And then you get a guaranteed result. And you can just focus on what really is important. And we create a new process around it with that vision. And now the process is one crew member has to walk to the control board, pushing in one button, and all the supplies, resources will be automatically moved towards their positions. And the crew members just have to walk to their cannons, to their positions, and they can start aiming and preparing for the battle. It took us now 1 minute to be battle ready. That means we have 4 minutes to prepare ourselves for the battle. And that's really great, because we tested it, and our aim was flawless, 100% accurate. That means we are definitely winning. And just by iterating about it and thinking really ahead of your processes will make sure you have robust measures. You can really fit in the controls, the actions you take, and the user needs to be doing. You can really create them within the designs, within the processes, so it will be seamlessly integrated in the way of working of the user, but also in yours. So a little recap about it, about this phase, about the designing phase. What I would ask is collaborate with as much as disciplines as you think it's needed, to get different perspectives and to gain valuable insights, because many opinions will lead to better results and better quality. And they might see something you have missed. Complexity is the arch eminence of security and UX UI. So make things KISS. Keep it simple and stupid, because then it is way easier to achieve the same quality. You will make less mistakes, and it's easy to understand. Iterate multiple times through the process to enhance it, because you can never make the perfect process at once. And make sure you make really time for it, because if you don't make the time the first time, you will have guarantee no time in the future to improve on it, because there's always another priority, an incident, or something else why you can't make the time of it. So you should do it the first time. Automate as much as possible. Everything that doesn't require human intelligence, automate it. And integrate security controls into the core architecture, the core processes of your solutions. So it isn't an add-on, it will be fixed inside of it. Those are really better, and make sure that it's also KISS instead of adding more complexity towards it. And with that, we have covered the design phase, and we go to the final phase for now, the implementation phase, the actually part that we are writing down the code. And there you have 5 golden rules of the C, so as I call them. The first one is expect the expected. Quite strange. Normally you would say expect the unexpected. But that is coming from the philosophy that the unexpected things is like it said, unexpected. You can't always think of ways they are going to attack you. They are going to miss something. You always miss something. But you know what you're going to expect. In every input field you are making, every form, you know what input is required. And with that input, you get a guaranteed quality. So instead of focusing on the disallow, what are we not going to allow, like special characters or numbers, focus on what we allow, what do we expect. Validate on that part. So only characters from A to Z or numbers in a specific range. So focus on allow lists and never on the disallow, because then you will guarantee miss something, and you can guarantee a specific quality. That means you are having less UX UI experience, but also less security. Then we have the second rule. Regular expressions are your ally. They are really great ways to do some input validation. They can do it on multiple levels. They can do it at the formatting level, exact values, but also at range. That's really great. And a bonus side is that they are actually the fastest way to validate. The only thing is, most of the time, they can be very complex because they are long, because you have to lot of validations. But that's the one you have to chunk it down. Instead of, for example, looking at the email addresses, you can do it with regular expressions. Most of you probably will. Chunk it down in 3 parts. The first part before the @ sign, second part before the dot, and the last part about the origin, like .nl, .com, .org. And then concatenate all those 3 regular expressions in one variable. That will be easier to maintain, easier to understand how it is going, how it is structured, and what kind of format it is. And you can reuse it also. So really great. Then the third one, dynamic errors and glorious successes. Like input validation, we have, you know exactly what you want to check on. And when you put in some input field, you know if it is wrong or it is right. Be as specific as possible here. So like you have saved a file or they filled in an input field correct. Say it immediately. Say you have saved, for example, the recipe about rum into our database. Instead of just your record has been saved. But the most important part and the critical part here is about the errors that we show. Be also specific here. I can tell you how much of the times I see when I'm putting something wrong, the error message, something went wrong, try again. Then I'm thinking, you know exactly what went wrong. So tell me, is it on your end? Is it on my end? Did I fill something wrong in? And I don't say you should show them the error trace code or any technical about that, but show them, for example, hey, your input field is outside of range, or we've found an issue on our side of the application, so try it later again, so you know, okay, it's not my fault. I filled in everything correctly. But be careful here, as you should be as specific as possible about helping the user guiding to their expected results. Be careful about sensitive information. Don't say, for example, when you have a login screen, hey, your password is correct. Oh, sorry, hey, your password username is correct, but your password is wrong. You should change the second character to B to log in. Be here a little bit vaguer about, hey, your password is wrong. So you don't give any sensitive information away. So that brings us down to the golden rule of number 4. Halt the sales on wrong input. What you'll be soon doing is validate as much as possible in the front end, just like in the core or back end of your solutions. And be exhaustive about the validation, so you guide them. And you know exactly that everything is correct, because if something doesn't add up, don't send it to the back end to see, hey, if this is just working. Make sure you catch it up front. Because when you send it to the backend, you'll get the chance to be jeopardizing them, and malicious input will be sent to the backend that you get a strange output that will crash your application or show strange results, and that is something you want to avoid. And then the last golden rule, what is JavaScript, was abandoned. We know a lot about web applications. We can disable JavaScript, but most of the interaction we are building currently in our websites is with JavaScript. So if you disable it, it will be a statical website. That wouldn't be a great user experience. So you should get out some backup scenarios about how to create the interaction, also not just only in JavaScript, but also in, for example, HTML and CSS. For example, here a little example, oversimplified. An input field where you can use patterns in your HTML, just like the ones you used in regular expressions. So when JavaScript is disabled, you at least have your validations still available and working for the user, so you can still guide them to the right results. And also with CSS, you can do a lot of interaction. Oversimplified again, here just an example about how you can change an input field when it is valid or when it is required. Those are just really great examples to how you can create backups when JavaScript was disabled. And it is going to be happening much more in the future that people are going to disable JavaScript. So be sure you catch it. And that brings us to the conclusion part about this presentation, because we have now discovered the planning phase, the design phase, and the implementation phase. So what should you really take home and try to do tomorrow or Monday when you start working? The 3 categories together, the goals, the requirements, and the threats will give you enough information about the full context of your application. And you can see if everything you do, every process, every action you take is going towards those goals, if it has any added value to your solutions. If so, do it. If not, avoid it. Complexity is the arch eminence of security, but also for UX and UI. So we should make things KISS. Keep it simple. Because if it is more simple, it will be easier to maintain quality, easier to gain quality also, and you will make less mistakes. And also the user will make less mistakes. And iterate multiple times about the process or features or epics, because you can never make the perfect one at once. Also challenge yourself to iterate it. Automate as much as possible. If it doesn't require human intelligence, just automate it, because that would be better for everyone. And understand the expected behavior of your solutions. Know what you expect to gain a specific result. And guide users into the correct input, so you're really helping them and let them understand what they have to do for it. And regular expressions can really help you a lot in this part. And don't trust only on JavaScript. Implement, when necessary, fallback scenarios and solutions using CSS and HTML. With that, I want to thank you for joining our journey on sailing the waters using UX, UI reinforced by security. And now let's navigate these waters safely together. And I've here put in some references that you can use at home to delve more into in topic about it and to gain more information. So once again, thank you.